When we have a low pH or are approaching our low limit of 6.5 pH, we need to confirm that the pH is correct by running a test on the lab pH probe. This is the lab calibration book. To start, we have to calibrate the machine. There's a guide inside the lab book on how to do this, and I will demonstrate now. You want to initial, date, and record the time that you are performing the calibration. You want to prepare new buffers. They're underneath in the cabinet here. Check each buffer's expiration date on the bottle and check its lot number. Dump out your old buffers as much as you can. Swirl the new buffer. And fill up about 3/4 of the beaker. Expiration date 10/21/27. We're in 2026. That one is good. Be careful not to dump out the little magnet that's in the bottom of the beakers. It can actually help if you want to try to get it all to put it into the cup so you don't lose the magnet into the sink drain. 6/24/26. This one's almost expired, but almost empty as well. And this is our quality control reference standard. It should be pretty much exactly 7. So this has got to be between 7.9 or 6.9 and 7.1. And we just read that at the end of our calibration to make sure that it took. And this expires 4/1/27. Okay, now we're ready to calibrate. So this is our pH probe. It's Thermoscientific Orion. Its indicator buttons, F1, F2, and F3, open these menus at the bottom. F1 is the calibration menu as shown, Cal. We're going to click F1. So now we're ready to begin calibration. We take our probe out of the sleeve by gently twisting. You don't want to rip it right off, and you don't want to squeeze too hard. Just gently twist it off of the probe. You'll notice that there's some storage fluid in the bottom of the probe tube. Make sure not to spill that. So set that upright out of the way and rinse it's potassium chloride off of the probe. Give the probe a good rinse. A very gentle shake to get excess water off. Remove the storage fluid from the thermometer. Our pH is associated with a temperature as well. That's why we store it in that expired pH 4 buffer solution, just so that it's reading a consistent temperature. So we've rinsed our probe and our thermometer. We clip the probe into the slot on the arm next to the thermometer, and then we start with our first buffer solution, buffer 7, the yellow. Insert the probe. Make sure your stir bar is on. You can control the stir bar with this knob, but in general it should always be on. But make sure that it is on before you begin. So now we're ready to calibrate. We hit F3, which is the start button. And now it is reading the first buffer solution. Once it's ready, the probe will say ready in the top left corner. And so you can see it says 7.02. This is where we want to make our adjustment because we know this buffer solution to be 7.0. So we just put 7, and that changes the first number to 7. If we push any more numbers, that will change the decimal point, which we don't want to do. So make sure you just hit the 7 when adjusting your pH. Then we hit accept. Now we record our millivolts on our calibration log sheet. So we have 1.4 millivolts, which you can see is comparable to other calibrations. And that reagent for the pH buffer 7 was the R348, which was written on the bottle next to the expiration date. So now we're going to move on to our next buffer solution. So you remove the probe from the 7. You rinse the probe with DI water. Gently shake the excess. A little bit's okay. And we're going to get our 4 buffer solution. And then put the probe in that. And then on the screen we will hit F2 for next. Place into buffer and start to begin. So now we hit F3 to start. Now it is reading our 4 buffer solution. It says ready. It's reading 4, so that's fine. We don't have to adjust at all. We just hit F2 to accept. And we record again the millivolts. 178.7. Now rinse the probe again. Shake off the excess, be very gentle. And we grab our 10 buffer solution, which will be a pH of 10. So now it's in solution, we hit F2, next. Place into our buffer we already have, hit start, F3. And it's now reading our 10 buffer. So for our 10 buffer, we're going to want to adjust that. so that it is 10.00. We will do so by hitting F3, which is edit, and adjust it to 10, and hit F2 to accept. Now that is all of our buffers, so we can remove the probe from the buffer, and we will hit Cal Done. At the end of the Cal Done, you'll see you have achieved a slope. You want to record your millivolts for the 10 buffer, which was -172. This will most likely always be a negative number. That's and our average slope, which was 100.7. We will rinse the 10 buffer off of the probe. Gently shake the excess. Yeah. And then we will put our QC and hit measure or escape number 1 to go back to measurement mode. And so now we want to see our QC between 6.9 and 7.1. It is very likely going to be exactly 7, as it is labeled. When you see the blinking stabilizing, that means it is still reading. Once you see the ready, that means you are ready to record the data. And it can even sometimes change after it's readied up, but you want to give the probe time to find its final reading. So we are at 7.00. That is a quality. Quality has been controlled. Now we are ready to record our effluent sample to make sure that we're not in violation.